A lot of times when God's trying to explain things to me, He'll use an animal analogy. One day I was taking my dogs for a walk, and I was just kind of walking around the property, and they were just walking beside me. They weren't on a leash, they were just kind of meandering as I walked. God pointed it out to me. He said, "Do you see how they're following you, even though you're not saying a word? They're just walking in step with you because they see where you're going. And you're not having to constantly call them and constantly correct them. You just wait. And if they get a little too far off course, you call their name and they come back and you keep walking together." He said, "That's what I'm doing with you. You're not on a leash here. You are not having to stay directly beside me the entire time. You're allowed to wander. You're allowed to explore. You're allowed to roam as we go about this journey. And if you get a little too far off the path, don't worry, because I will always call you back." I think a lot of times we just get so rigid in thinking that we have to be glued to God's hip 24/7, and we should always be striving to be as close as we can to Him. But He's saying it's okay if you just explore a little bit. I used to think that I was just always on assignment, always had rules to follow, always had to be doing the right thing. And He was like, "No, you're free to go play." He said, "If I don't have you on an active assignment, if I have not given you active instructions, then you are always free to go play." And He reminded me about my son. I never have to tell my son to go play. I have to tell him when it's time to work or go to bed or brush his teeth. And if we as Christians are God's children, then that means He's treating us the same way. He's expecting us to just go play, and then He will tell us when it's time for our next assignment. So if you feel yourself kind of stuck in like an in-between spot and you're like, "Well, I don't really know what God wants me to do right now. I don't really know what I should be doing or where I should be or anything like that," just go play. Just go play. Trust that if you wander a little too far off the path, He'll call you back. And when it's time for your next assignment, He will tell you. Just go play.